Hello, welcome to Sigmar Stat Center. I'm your host, Rob. I'm joined by the Twitch chat, these wonderful people who join me every Monday and all week to discuss things to do with Wargaming and Warhammer and all those other things. If you ever want to come check it out, then you can on twitch.tv/Wargamer. That would be really cool. This is awkward. This is awkward because I forgot to introduce this. Anyway, today we're going to be looking at the Age of Sigmar event results from around the world. We've got 11 events across 7 countries, 394 players. We're going to Vietnam. We're going to Sweden. We're going to Australia. We're going all across the world. It's going to be amazing. If you've enjoyed this, or if you enjoy any content I make, please do help support the show by liking and subscribing. See you guys soon. Thanks very much. Hello. The first event we're going to cover is Adepticon. Statistically, the third best Age of Sigmar event you can attend in the whole world. Perfect. Nailed that. Okay, they had over 200 players competing to be the best of the best. After those 200 players had played, they got several 5-0s, which I'm about to cover, and they cut those 5-0s into a top 8. Several of those people in the top 8 decided to leave, or not attend the top 8 because they instead wanted to play in the team event with their friends and use the ticket that they bought the next day. So you cycled through a bunch of other people until eventually you found 8 people willing to play the next day. Those people competed to be the winner of Adepticon as the general, and it was won by the very lovely Mr. John Anderson. He runs, and is a part of and loves Lumineth Realm Lords in the sub-faction Helon. He had Teclis, a Cathalar, and he had 5 wind charges. Twice, in fact. Oh, no, 3 times. 3 times. 3 lots of wind charges, which is great. I love that. Then he had 20 Sentinels, and then another 20 Sentinels, and then he had the Umbral Spell Portal, the Rune of Petrification, and the Emerald Life Swarm. Now, let's not forget that obviously you get extra shots in Helon and all those other things, but of course, if you'd like to know how the Helon Castle works, although this is a slightly modified version with 3 units of wind charges, which is super fun to see, then you can obviously go watch the YouTube video on the Honest Wargamer called The Lumineth Castle. Well done to John for being the winner, and super proud of you. Well done. Hello. Now we're going to look at the 5-0s. So after the top 8 cut, before the top 8 cut, these are the people that managed to go 5-0 at this 200-person event. And this is exciting. You've got Caleb Waters. Caleb's very well known. Part of the Bottom Table Bullies, which is his gaming group now. They formed a gaming group, which is really fun. And Duncan Bills, you can also see, went 5-0, also part of that team. Rob Mulshine of the Golden Gobbos. Tony Carley from the Raptor Pit crew. And then Joey Treisenberg of Broken Ranks. Tried really hard with that. What were they all running? Well, Caleb was obviously running Tzeentch in Guild of Summoners. He had an Ogroid, a Lord of Change, Curseling, Magister, 2x10 Carex, 10 Zangor, and the Kronspine Incarnate, with a Purple Sun, the Spell Portal, and the Burning Sigil of Tzeentch. A lot of this is to do with killing the Incarnate, yeeting it forward, eating endless spells by killing your own Magister, but very solid, and he's been playing this for a very long time, and he's a very excellent player, so well done to Caleb. We had a big war list played by Rob. Rob just here to really break my brain. So he was running Big War, and get ready for a who's who of destruction players you often don't see. You got a Wargog Prophet with the glowing tattoos, which means he's got a better ward save, and he's also got the Fueled by Gurish Rage, which means when he dies, well, not when he dies technically, when he loses his last wound, he comes back to life, which is very useful so that you can keep doing more and more mortal wounds with the Wargog Prophet's War Scroll ability, which you should check out. It's incredibly cool. Then he's got a Snatcher Boss on Sludge Raker Beast. Rob is in the chat, and he did say that he was able to do up to 30 mortal wounds to Catacross, which is pretty exciting. Snatcher Boss on Sludge Raker Beast, it's just a really good fighting unit. It's a really, really good fighting unit. He just does lots of mortal wounds and smashes people up, which is really good. You've got the Uruk War Chanter, who is able to buff the unit of Gore Grunters, and in addition, help the Ard Boys rally better. And Uruk Mega Boss with a Griff Feather Charm, so he's more survivable, and the Aspect of the Champion stubborn as a Rhinox, so he can count as 10 on an objective. And then Gobsprak, the Mouth of Gork, able to cast a spell on himself to move up the board, then cast another spell to make it so that you can ignore the ward saves. Then in the following movement phase, move back, which is pretty amazing. Makes it so you can shut down enemy wizards if you roll to unbind really well. And has a spell that makes it so that you're -1 attack to all your attacks. So pretty effective in this list, apparently. Then Scragrot. Scragrot's in the list as well, 160 points, 2-cast wizard, and can do his Water spell, which is very, very effective for doing lots and lots of damage. Then 3 lots of 5 Ard Boys, 3 Gorgrunt, as I talked about before, 3 Man Skewer Bolt Boys, and then a unit of 24 Squig Herd. And then he's brought Ravanax Gnashing Jaws as a spell at the end of the spell, which does lots of more wounds. Very cool list. Rob's in the chat. He's offered to give an interview to me, so I'm going to definitely interview him about this list, because this is one of them weird lists. And at this point, I think Rob is probably a genius. So I'm going to say it. I'm going to call it right now. Not me, Rob. I'm not a genius. I'm just your friend. But he is a genius. Luminous Realm Lords also did really well. Tech list, Cathalar, Lawseeker, and some Sentinels in the list. Then there was an Ogre More Tribes list with Kragnos, Frostlord and Stonehorn, 2 Stonehorn Beast Riders, and then 2 Mournfang. So that would just be a yeet and beat, as they call it, whereas the Big War list was a yeet, beat, and then retreat. But this is Kragnos, gives everyone a 3d6 charge, and then the monster trucks that are the Frostlords or the Stonehorns just do additional mortal wound impact hits. And then we have a Sylvaneth list with a Spirit Durthu. This is Gnarlroot, Spirit Durthu, Lady of Vines, and the Lariel the Everqueen. Now, don't forget, Lady of Vines got a 5-up ward save spell, which is pretty decent. Then 10 Dryads, a unit of 20 Dryads, and then 5 Tree Revenants. Spike Swarm Hive and Chronomantic Cogs. Alariel comes back to life. They're all spellcasters, so they're going to get reroll cast from Cogs. Durthu has got Gnarled Warrior and Greenwood Gladiator, so he's a lot more survivable, a lot more fighty. And then Dryads are good near a forest, effectively, so that's quite interesting. This is one of those really fascinating lists I'd like to deep dive a little bit more. Bosh! The next event we're going to look at is the Justice Series GT up in Liverpool in the UK, run by Richie. Richie puts on a fantastic event. He's a superstar, and the events are really good. So if you get a chance to go check them out, then you should. They're called the Justice Series. There's one in October, I think. But it's on my birthday, so I won't be going, because I'll probably be doing something silly. Right, so who won the event? Mr. Tom Maudsley won it with the brand new Karajon Overlords book. He took it in Barak Zilfin. And I've said that right, so Aethicast can't shout at me. His article was Set of the Grudges. He had a Prosecute War without or haste, and there's no reward without risk. Don't forget, this KO now, new book KO, have already racked up 3 4-1s, and this is their first 5-0. They got an Arcanaut Admiral, an Aether-Chemist, and then Brock Grungson. He's got 15 Thunderers, so a max unit, 10 Arcanaut Company, a Frigate, an Ironclad, and then 2 units of 3 Endrin Riggers. I assume those Endrin Riggers are split out in between the 2 vehicles, the 2 frigates, to heal them up. And it is just a very big turn 1 alpha shoot army. It's a battle reg, so he's got the choice to go first, or he could give the turn away. And then you're just going to come under a lot of fire. A lot of shots, a lot of healing in this list as well, to the vehicles via the Endrin Riggers, and the... via that. So there you go. That's the list. KO doesn't really have tons to say about it, other than it just is going to shoot you a lot and shoot you very well. That's the tactic, and it's built to do that. The 4-1 versions of this list we've seen already is 15 Thunderers went 4-1, double 15 Thunderers, so 30 Thunderers in total went 4-1 as well. And then the other version was Thunderers and Iron Drakes. So currently looks like it's a very heavy alpha shooting army. In the 4-1 bracket, we had Mr. Peter Twig, lovely fella, in the chat with Slaves to Darkness. He was running Kabbalists. He had a Chaos Sorcerer Lord, another Chaos Sorcerer Lord, 10 Nurgle Knights, 2 units of minimum Corvus Cabal, then a unit of 6 Varangard, and then a unit of 10 Chaos Chosen. We talked about this a little bit during the stream, but what he's effectively able to do is use the Soul Screen Bridge on the spell, which he brings on, and then use the 3d6 charge spell to be able to make that unit have a 3d6 charge from 9 inches away. Don't forget, if you're in Kabbalist, you're going to be cast on 3d6, which is amazing, and if you've got the Master of Magic, you're going to be able to re-roll that. So you're a more consistent, more powerful caster than some of the best casters in the game. So you're very likely to get off those spells, and when you do so, you then are able to get off that very reliable 3d6 9-inch charge, and obviously with a CP you can re-roll that as well. So just very effective. And then you've got an incredibly powerful combat unit in the Varangard, an incredibly powerful unit in the Chaos Chosen, and then you've got an incredible tanking unit in that unit of Chaos Knights. And then the Corvus Cabal for just dropping around. Also a free Grand Strat as well. Then you got Joe Krasinski running Ogre, More Tribes, Underguts. He's got Frostalon Stonehorn, a Bloodpelt Hunter, a Slaughtermaster, then 3 units of 2 Mournfang. You don't see this very often. It's pretty fun. Mournfang pack. You don't normally see them as your battle line. And then 3 units of Iron Blasters with a screening unit of Noblars. So Iron Blasters just go pow pow. And then the Mournfang and the Frostalon Stonehorn are going to yeet forward and do all of the damage. So congratulations to him. Baz Norman Jr. with Gloomspite Gits was running Kragnos, Squig Boss, 2 units of maxed out Squig Herd, so 36, I think, and then another unit of Squig Herd, and then the Marshcrawler Slogoth. So charging forward, doing huge amounts of damage, and Scragrot is in the list as well. So again, another fast, powerful combat army, 3d6 charge. So a bit of an Alpha Strike there. In my opinion as well. It's kind of interesting. Tom's list, shooting Alpha Strike. Peter Twig's list, combat Alpha Strike. Joe's list has got the ability to be at least very aggressive turn 1, and then Baz's can be a first turn Alpha Strike army list as well. Talking about then we got Mr. Matt Goldsborough running Quicksilver Dead. He's running a Gash, which no one ever runs. Krulgas Cruciator and a Spirit Torment, and then 20 Harridans, 10 Harridans, and then 10 more Harridans, and then some Chain Rasp and the Umbral Spell Portal. No ward saves against these Harridans, and then the Gash causing you all sorts of issues. Well done to Matt. And then Tom Lees with his Gloomspite Gits was running Squig Boss, Squagrot, Loon Boss, and then he was running 2 lots of 10, 2 lots of 5 Boingrot Bounders, and some Squig Herd, and some Mangler Squigs. Gobblepalooza and Sneaky Snufflers. Honestly, Boingrot Bounders for their points got to be one of the best MSU units you can get, I think. 5 is good, 10 is wild, 15 is nuts. Like, they scale incredibly well as a cavalry unit that are very effective. Loads of buff units in here as well. And then finally, Kieran with his Beast of Chaos, with a Doom Ball, a Great Brave Shaman, a Beast of Chaos Shaman, and a Zangor Shaman, which is 115 points, which is nuts. He's got 9 Bulgor in this list. There's 9 Bulgor in this list. 10 Gore and 10 Ungor, and then a Razor Gore and a Cygor, and the Krunspine Incarnate of Gur. So the Krunspine Incarnate of Gur can actually go wild, which is kind of funny in a wild man list, because the Great Brave Shaman can kill itself off board, which is pretty funny. I really like that, using the heroic actions. Doomball's got an ability, so the 9 Bulgor deploy outside 7 inches. They get +2 to charge, so it's a 5-up rerollable charge to absolutely slap some stuff. And then the Cygor is just incredible for shutting down opponents' wizards and stuff. Amazing. Loads of love to everyone, and that's a great little... Our next event takes us over to Sweden for Fantasia Fanatic. In Sweden. We had 32 players playing at this event. It's all being run on Exen. And the winner was Ronja Anderson, our absolute queen of Age of Sigmar. She was running Gloomspite Gits. Ronja, famously almost unkillable with Nighthaunt pre the new Nighthaunt book, has now switched up to the powerful Gloomspite Gits, and this is a devastating time. Fungoid Cave Shaman in the Jaws of Mork, Scragrot, and 2 Squig Bosses with Nashor Squigs, and then 2 units of 20 Squig Hoppers, a unit of 36 Squig Herd, 20 Moon Clan Stabbers, Gobblepalooza, and some Sneaky Snufflers. The Sneaky Snufflers buff the units. The Gobblepalooza buff the units. The Squig Hoppers kill all of the dudes, in your army at least, and the Squig Herd also kill all of the dudes. Squig Boss and Nashor Squigs buff them up, and Scragrot just does Scragrot stuff. So well done to Ronja. Just a powerful army played by an absolute legend. Right, let's take a look at the 4-1 bracket. We got Christian Wenberg with Daughters of Cain in Xantha Kai. He's got a Hag Queen on Cauldron of Blood and Marathi, and 15 Bow Snakes with some Heart Renders. Congratulations to him. Anton Sandstorm with Gloomspite Gits was running Dankhold Truck Boss, Scragrot, 2 Squig Bosses with Nashor Squig, 6 Rock Guts, 20 Squig Hoppers, 10 Squig Hoppers, 24 Squig Herd, some Snufflers, and the Gobblepalooza. Per Sigvalis was running Karajan Overlords, So I think this is new Sheraton Overlords with Barrett Mornar. He's got an Arcanaut Admiral, Aether Chemist, Gotrek, 15 Thunderers, a Gun Hauler, 6 Endrin Riggers, and a Frigate. And then the spell in a bottle, the Soul Scream Bridge, which I assume is for Gotrek. No, you can't actually do that with Gotrek, so no, it's not for him. Then we've got Morgan Norman, who hasn't submitted his list, but I think he was running FEC. Douglas Carholm was running Iron Jaws. He had a Mega Boss, Maw Crusher, Weird Knob Shaman, War Chanter, some Brutes, 15 Art Boys, and some Gore Grunters. And that is the all of the 4-1s at Fantasia Fanatic. Some pretty cool lists. And again, we're seeing quite a few gits, which is fine. No problem. Our next event is the GT de Catalonia. The Catalonia Warhammer Mixer. We had 24 players playing, and they played at this lovely little place. If you listen to the podcast, I'm just showcasing what looks to be a beautiful Spanish street here, very metropolitan, which is lovely. The winning player was called Marco PDM. Cesaro is seems to be his gamer name. He was running a Nighthawk army with Scarlet Doom. Don't forget this makes the Blade Geist Revenants do mortal wounds on 5+ when they charge. A Krulgas Cruciator and a Guardian of Souls. A Spirit Torment and a Lord Executioner. He also took the Regiment of Renown Vermund's Shamblers. And then, so what they do is if you're near the corpse cart in Vermund Shamblers, then it's -1 to your ward save for units within 12 inches, which ties in really nicely. We're doing all the mortal wounds on the charge from the Blade Geist Revenants. Then 2 units of 10 Chain Rasps and 2 units of 20 Blade Geist Revenants. Some little cheeky anti-magic from the Mimron Banshees, and then a unit of Chain Gas. So overall, pretty awesome. Pretty cool using that -1 ward save to really buff up the effectiveness of the mortal wounds that you're doing in that army. So very cool, very, very thematic. Okay, the 4-1. The 4-1 in this, the 4-1 players in this event was Marco Diana, their finest hour, Jordi Carbonell on DIM, and Janabim Martin from DKHM. They all went 4-1. The lists were a Megakin and Nurgle army in Blessed Suns, Orgots, a Lord of Plagues, a Lord of Afflictions, Be'lakor, and Blobe. Then 5 Blight Kings, 10 Rotmire Creed, and then a Feculent Gnarlmaw. So applying loads of disease points to the Rotmire Creed feels like that's an auto-include any Nurgle list. Blight Kings and Blight Kings for holding the screen. Be'lakor. I don't know if I've said this yet in the show. Be'lakor is the best unit you can buy in Age of Sigmar right now. There's no argument. If you can put it in your list and you haven't put it in your list, I don't know what you're doing. The ability to shut down the hammer units of your opponent's army when they just exist, just auto wins you games, in my opinion. It's just perfect. Lord of Afflictions with Overpowering Stench, and then Lord of Plagues and Orgots Demon Spew. There was also Disciple Zinch list in Hos Arcanum, so an auto and bind 1/3/5. Kairos, a Curseling, and the Magister. The Magister is bonded to an Incarnate, and then 10 Pink Horrors, and some Carrick Acolytes. So very much with Umbral Spell Portal, Tome of Eyes, and Shards of Valagar. So closing down enemy units' movement. Which is nice. And then we've got Lumineth list with Teclis, a Cathalar, and a Lore Seeker. Lore Seeker's the general. And then 20 Wardens, and then 10 Blade Lords with the Shards of Valagar again, Rune of Petrification, and Ravanax Gnash and Jaws. So it feels like this is a much more combat-orientated and progressive Lumineth list. Moves into the mid-board, does overwhelming Serum White Light, then it's going to shut down the movement with Shards of Valagar. It's going to use Ravanax Gnash and Jaws to also do damage as well. And then Rune of Petrification is going to do AoE Mortal Wounds. And don't forget, if you park Teclis 12 inches away from an objective, you're also going to be doing the Realm spell as well for additional Mortal Wounds. So you're looking at 3 massive AoE Mortal Wound spells from Serum White Light, Rune of Petrification, and the Realm spell. And then you're doing a very focused amount of mortal wound damage from Ravanax Dashing Jaws into a singular unit as well. That's all in one hero phase, and then you're going to beat them up with some Wardens, which is nuts. So, just crazy good. Combat Teclis is definitely a list that is out there. It's nice to see the Spanish doing really well with it. And shout out to everyone else who did well. Our next event is the Spring Rumpus GT in Utah. 20 players battled it out, and Jared Brown of the Rage Babies took the event out. This is where it was located. Beautiful, beautiful Utah. his list was a Lumineth Realm Lords Helon list. He had Teclis, a Cathalar, 2x5 Wind Chargers, a unit of 10 Wardens, and then 40 Sentinels with Ravanax, Gnashing Jaws, and Umbral Spell Portal. This is a Helon Castle, and as I've said before, it goes, you know how to, just watch my video on it. And then the 4-1s, we had Russ Tanner and James Fryer getting 4-1s at this event. Congratulations to both those two lads. I hope you had a great time. Our next event is in New South Wales. We had 19 players battling it out, organised by Crutchhammer. The winner was from the Crutchhammer Club, in fact. He was Jake Gunning from Crutchhammer. We also had Terence Voller and Liam Burnett Blue all in the 4-1 bracket. Jake was running a Carriage on Overlords list, our second this week, going 5-0 from Barrack Zon. He had an Arcanaut Admiral, a Navigator, 3x6 Sky Wardens, a Gun Hauler, 2 lots of 3 Engine Riggers, and then 2 Arcanaut Frigates. Don't forget, Frigates have got an ability when they charge in, units can get out of them and do some stabbing, which is really good with Always Strikes First. So Sky Wardens being very effective in that. And they can shoot a bunch of units with those Frigates, or screens, effectively, before they do so. Congratulations to both of them. I think 2 Frigates is going to be more popular than 2 Ironclads in the future. We'll see. 300 points is very, very competitive for the Frigates. I think they're very good, and I think that you're going to see more of that. Once people are painted up, I think Ironclads now, because that's what people have, but I think when people paint it up, you'll end up with more Frigates. So congratulations to everyone at the event and to the TOs. Hope you had a great time. We had 16 players playing at the AOS March 2-day event in New South Wales, organised by the Combat Company TCC. Now, in first place, we had Gary Chen with 4 and a draw, running a Sylvaneth Oakenbrow list. Don't forget, this means that the Tree Lords fight at top bracket. He's got a Tree Lord Ancient, Knight Zephyros, a Warsong Revenant, and a Spirit of Durthu. And then 3 Tree Lords as battle line, and a Battle Mage to cast Chronomantic Cogs and Spite Swarm Hive. So you've got the ability to teleport in and get very reliable charges, and the Tree Lords are going to be doing some good fighting and shooting, and then the Spirit of Death is going to be doing some excellent combat. So overall, fantastic army, really good. And this isn't the first time we've seen Oakenbrow do well. Oakenbrow are kind of the sleeper Sylvaneth army at the minute. Lots of different players around the world, America, England, doing really well with Oakenbrow lists. So if you want to go check them out, you should do. In the 4-1 bracket, though, we had Jack Solomons and Zoran Tillers. Congratulations to both them. Hope you had a great time, and congratulations to everyone at the event. Woohoo! So our next event is in Sweden. It's called Dala Stompen, and our winner was Jesper Malenda, getting the big 5-0, running a Slaves to Darkness list. His damn legion was Ravagers, which means you get to return a unit of cultists that has been slain previously. He had Archeon the Everchosen, who's a powerful smash piece, doesn't really need to integrate much with the rest of the army. Chaos Sorcerer Lord, and then the Exalted Hero of Chaos, who is the Idolater Lord, with a Conqueror's Crown and fueled by Gurish Rage, so more difficult to kill him. And then 80 Splintered Fang, 4 units of 20. Charge them in, murder the dudes, die and return, recycle 10 more, send 20 more in, and that's roughly how it made. And then the Unmade. So you can't redeploy and you can't rally while within 12 inches of the Unmade. Very cheeky little list. 125 wounds in that list as well. So while you're getting just slammed from different charges from Splintered Fang units, you're also having to deal with Archeon and everything he brings to the table, which is pretty significant, which is really fantastic. David Enya going 4-1 with his Ogre Moor tribes, and then Johan Hilmerson going 4-1 with his Seraphon list. Congrats to everyone at the event. Hope you had a great time. Our next event is over in Northern Ireland. Only 10 players, but it's at the fantastic Exploding Dice venue. They've just upgraded, actually, and were recently on the BBC. They interviewed those people. They didn't submit the list, though, so Shane Ford in first place, and then Chris Archibald in second place, all located in the lovely town in Northern Ireland of Bangor. Bangor? I hardly know her. Okay, so our next event is in Vietnam, which is pretty exciting. I love that. So Vietnam, this is the Lords of AOS tournament. Sure, they only had 8 players, but building up strong. This is roughly where the event is. It was at Super Brain, right here, in Ho Chi Minh City. I think I've said that right. and it was won by Sol Omen, and he was part of the Lord's Club. He was running Nighthaunt, the Quicksilver Dead. He had a Guardian Souls, a Krulgas Cruciator, a Lady Alinda, and then 2 Spirit Torments and a Tomb Banshee, which is a pretty off-meta pick. Dreadscythe Harridans, 5 Hex Wraiths, 8 Mimron Banshees, and then 2 units of 3 Spirit Hosts to protect Lady Alinda, and the Chronomantic Cogs. Don't forget, Lady Alinda is going to, once per game, recycle a whole bunch of those bases back on the board. Dreadscythe Harridans are going to be doing some really solid work in Quicksilver Dead. A lot of attacks on the Dreadscythe Harridans. Command Entourage, so that's his unit of Harridans, mixed in with the Krulgas. No, not Krulgas Cruciator. Mixed in with one of the units anyway. And then the Spirit Hosts in there in Galician Veterans for the extra attacks. So, yeah, absolutely excellent. Just to shout out everyone else in Vietnam. So, Trandar was running Stormcast Eternals. Lord Habu was running Disciples of Zinch. Lord Dorian was running Sylvaneth Heartwood. Trong Do Hubao was running Stormcast Eternals. Sway Tom was running Ogre Moor Tribes. Huang Dao Li was running Adnet Deepkin. And in last place, but greatest in our hearts, was Tin. Tin GSC was running Gloomspite Gits. Now, he got no wins. Okay, so if you ever like, I'm not sure how to deal with the Gloomspite Gits, they're a bit of a problem in my local meta, you want to go hit up Tin and everyone in Vietnam and find out what the secret sauce is for beating them. So our last event was the Manchester GT, only 7 players, but, you know, if you're playing an event, it's worth talking about. So our winner was Jack Crinks, and he was running Gloomspite Gits, he was running Glog's Mega Mob. He had Dankhold Trog Boss, Fungoid Cave Shaman, Scragrot, 2x3 Fellwaters, 9 Rock Guts twice. 2 beefed up units of 9 Rock Guts, which very much coincides with the event in Northern Ireland, where I just found out, thanks to Shane being in the chat, that he was running 2 units of 9 Bulgor. So again, like, we'll talk about this in the wrap up, but 2 big units, you should deal with them. 9 Rock Guts, and then 20 Moonclan Stabbers and some Spore Splat Fanatics. A special shout out to James Elson for going 4-1 at this event as well. Okay, time for the wrap up. And there's lots to say about this weekend, in my opinion. Loads of events around the world. We had 394 players, 7 countries, 11 events. That's really exciting to know that at the same time you were rolling dice in Sweden, people were rolling dice in Australia, in Vietnam, Spain, England, the USA. That's pretty fun. Like, I love that it's an international community. So number one, that's really excellent. I love doing this show because I feel like it's a nice conduit between all of those different communities on all the stuff that happens, which is super cool. As for like the actual armies that are doing well, I mean, wow, Carriage and Overlord's coming out the bat with 2 5-0s this weekend. It's pretty cool. Obviously, Lumineth still in there, making short work of a lot of different armies as well. But KO doing really well. It's cool to see. A couple of little cheeky beast lists here and there doing really well. But the overall takeaway that I would put into the game right now is that it's very much a game of mega units, like 10 Chosen, 9 Rock Guts, 9 Bulgor, 15 Thunderers. Techless, I guess, is kind of the one from Lumineth. But there's a lot of like mega units, like not quite Death Stars, but in some cases with a super buffed up unit of like Boingrots or Squig Hoppers, then you know you've got that big piece. That's why I feel like even if you do something, let's say to the Techless Shooting Castle, their ability to do a Bellicor-like spell twice, once from the Cathallar, once from the Spell Lore, is going to be really effective still for Lumineth, even if Sentinels get a nerf. Similarly, Chaos, I don't know why every Chaos list isn't including a Bellicor, and includes indeed some of the lists that we're seeing do well here do include a Bellicor. They do include a Bellicor. So shutting down those big mega units feels like a very effective use of your time, especially as they're getting all buffed up. A lot of the armies also seem very Alpha Strike heavy. KO, Gits seem very Alpha Strike heavy. Their ability to like absolutely hammer you on the first turn seems very, very good, in my personal opinion. And the tempo of that game is really, because even is very high. Even if you don't kill everything in their army on the first turn, or you don't make it they can't score, which is kind of the definition of an Alpha Strike, they're still pinned in, got to deal with you for the first few turns, making it a real struggle to score objectives, making it a real struggle to score battle tactics, which is something interesting as well. We're still in the cycle of the production meta, though, or like we're still waiting. There's a lot of, like, we saw the frigate list for KO do really well. Obviously, also an Ironclad list as well. I'd say frigates feel very good, and we might see more KO like that. Beast of Chaos have had to pivot from running Zangor and Enlightened to Bulgor or Bestigor, Cygors, and some other units which they didn't have painted up, so we're still waiting for them to pivot to that. We've seen the Gits production meta really go into full swing, or bounce into effectiveness. But we're still waiting for these different armies to get painted up and used. Same, Sinesh and Khorne, still waiting on those to get painted up, put on the table, and see how they affect the meta as well. So overall, it's a very interesting meta, very dynamic. There's lots happening. Sure, some of the individual armies may seem quite strong, and sure, some of those armies, their first outing, are going to spike a little bit higher because people don't know how to play against them. KO is one of those ones that seems very obvious. Like, you're going to struggle to play against KO. They play differently to how they played previously, and then you're going to have to play them again. So I find that quite interesting. But it's going to be really, really interesting to see how the game develops, especially with new OCR and Soulblight Gravelord's book out soon. That's going to really, really change the meta up again. We're still fairly early into this GHB. I know that the next GHB has already been announced in 4 months, but we're still fairly early for people learning and working out how this stuff goes. The combos, the tricks. Incarnate still working really well in Tzeentch. That's pretty fun to see. So overall, just a genuinely fascinating game state at the moment. So many moving parts. I couldn't tell you what I thought. If I went to an event, I couldn't tell you which lists would do well. I think I could tell you which players are going to do well. But it's going to change up. Matchups are going to be so dependent now as well. You're going to see some results which are going to be shocking, or some results that because the matchups, like who got to play who on what battle plans. The battle plans is a great conversation to have as well. Loads of battle plans are trash in this GHB, like as in they unfairly balance the game, in my opinion. There's still a whole conversation about game performance and army performance based on grand strategies and battle tactics. Some battle tactics are so easy, some battle tactics are not. So if you end up doing stuff where battle tactics become more relevant, like battle plans where you can do extra ones, then the game changes as well. So more so than we had in Age of Sigmar 2, the variance on why an army wins and doesn't win is much, much higher. You would think that this means that there's more scope for winning a game, but I think really what it does, it just obfuscates maybe problem units, or obfuscates like path to victories or why people are winning. So hopefully I'll be able to deep dive that a little bit more over the next coming weeks and really dive down into that. Looking forward to having that conversation and thinking it through. Hope you enjoyed the show. As always, thanks to everyone in the Twitch chat for joining me this Monday here. I hope if you're watching this as a podcast or you're watching this back on YouTube, I have actually increased the quality of the YouTube video up and also the audio, so hopefully they're both better. I'm trying harder to make everything I make better and better, and I need to thank everyone on Patreon for helping me do so. You can join us on Patreon if you want. I have just recorded a tier list video about all the different armies if you want to join us. You can go check it out on there. Thanks very much. See you soon, and goodbye.